Good evening. I am Phyllis Logan, your host for this evening with the Chicago Westside branch NAACP. Welcome. We are always open to your questions or comments. Feel free to call in at 312-738-1060. We want to first acknowledge CAN-TV. We want to thank him. They had an open house last Thursday, while we were on the air. And just wanted to commend them for doing an awesome job, as well as opening the doors for many organizations such as the NAACP, giving us the opportunity to have a voice and speak to you. So first and foremost, so thank you, CAN-TV, for those that are not familiar. The NAACP, we are located at 5820 West Chicago Avenue. Our phone number, 773-261-5890. And we have monthly meetings that are open to the public every first Saturday of the month, except for the month of July. Our meetings start at 1 p.m. and many times we go on until about 3 p.m. But you are always welcome to attend, and membership is always welcome. So with that, let's start our topic off this week. We have been so busy with our committee work that we do on a regular basis. We are volunteers. The NAACP is nonpartisan. We are a voice for the people, especially the very low and low-income communities where we have sites, have units at, and we're really proactive with our youth and our college division. So with that, we've been working on a few issues dealing with our Illinois state legislators. So our Illinois state legislators really make laws. And they make laws based on ideas that come from many facets of our community, whether they are the business community or the consumer community. They make laws based on ideas that come from these sectors of the population. With that, a couple of years ago, there was something that was set up in the state of Illinois in reference to electricity called the smart meter. And for all of those who don't know what the smart meter is, I bought a definition of the smart meter for you to see. And then we'll get into the bill that we worked diligently with last week with some of our state legislators. Our committee has looked over this bill for a couple of months now. Our state is aligned with us on this issue because this affects all of the state of Illinois. But a couple of years ago, under the energy bill, the Clean Energy Act, ComEd, as well as Amaron, for those that are south of the I-80, started installing within many of the buildings, the residential communities, commercial communities, industrial communities, started installing what's called the smart meter. So the smart meter, for those of you, if you are familiar with how ComEd comes to your home possibly once a month to go either in your yard or in your basement to read a meter based on how you use your electricity, the smart meter is a more in line with automation. Meaning that they don't have to come to your premises anymore. With technology and all, they can pretty much read from their broad-based system that they have at a site somewhere near. So a typical electrical meter is a tiny mechanical dials that someone, you or the utility worker, would come to read, as I stated earlier, to measure how much power you're using. There are no more dials on a smart meter. That's number one. It has a digital phase, and unlike traditional meters, it can send automatically and almost instantly your power usage to the utility company. That's the first piece that we want you to understand before I get into the next piece of our conversation in reference to some bills that are in Springfield right now that will affect all of us. For the great city of Chicago, ComEd is our provider of our service, which means ComEd, these meters, they read on a daily basis. Exelon provides us, depending on where you are in Chicago, and there's many other providers of service who supply the energy. Exelon is one of the bigger ones. Constellation is another one. The city of Chicago has an agreement with maybe another third party under another name that I did research, but I don't have that name with me. But they are the suppliers, and ComEd is your service provider. So ComEd is the one who's reading your meter electronically now once a month to gauge how much service you've used and then to price you on that. Well, the bill that is in front of us right now, that we've been very fortunate that we have a body of about 15 of us, members, volunteers of the Chicago Westside branch, as well as members from the units throughout the state of Illinois. We've been reading a 316-page bill that talks about not only clean energy, but smart energy, energy efficiency, and all of those other things that go under this label. We were not aware, after talking to our legislators, that the bill would come up this past Monday, just a couple of days ago. So last week we were communicating with some other organizations who are not liking some of the parts of the bill. The part of the bill that we're really not liking is called a demand fee, demand charge, based on within a half an hour period how much usage of your utility that you use. This is important because prior to all of this, only commercial and industrial corporations paid for peak hours of service. So a peak hour is when the energy is being pulled so much at one time. That's the peak hour. And when people use energy during the peak hour, when everyone is trying to use energy at the same time, there's a higher cost because it requires more ability, more workers to sustain it, make sure it's working and operating correctly, and that we don't get the blackouts, so to speak. So there's always an overload of not just workers because of the overload on the utility, but trying to keep things going and flowing smoothly throughout the business of the day. In the evenings, there really is no peak hour except possibly in the summer hours. So let's say you get home at 6 p.m. and it's in the summer and it's 90 degrees. You, as well as every other family that's walking into their home from a long day at work or otherwise, you now need to use your air conditioner, your AC. Well, you are now adding to a peak period, which has never been established, but you're adding to a peak period when everyone needs to overload the grids that are providing all of this energy. The new bill that's out wants to now put you in a position that when you get in at 6 p.m., that is your peak time. So throughout the course, we've been paying our bills on a time of use. So if you use it at 6 a.m., you use it at midday, use it sparsely throughout the day because you're not at home. You get home in the evening, you use it very little. Because so much technology has been added to our life, we now need to use more energy. And this smart meter is a mechanism in place to track our usage. ComEd is saying to us here in the city of Chicago that we now want to charge you your bill and give you an average of your bill based on your peak hour of your day. Our example, and one of the reasons why we're opposing this demand fee, is that for, let's say, case in point, a single mom gets home, kids have all gotten out of school, and nothing has really been running throughout the course of the day except for the refrigerator, of course, and maybe some clocks that are plugged in if they're not battery operated. But there's very little energy that's being pulled out of that home that's ticking on that meter. When that single mom with, let's say, 4 kids gets home, kids have been giving the iPads from school to do their homework. Mom comes in and she has to cook. A whole lot of things. She's got to do laundry. Lots of areas of the electricity are now flowing. Well, ComEd is saying to her and to many of us who may have that same routine that we want to clock you on how much energy you use at that time of the day, and we're going to charge you with that being your peak hour of using energy. So if you overload yourself, that's what your monthly bill will be based off of. And ComEd, Exelon, and a few other energy suppliers really don't have a gauge on how this really is a tracking mechanism so that we can be sure that they're charging us a good fee, a better fee for the energy that we use. There's other components in this bill as well, but the demand fee is our largest concern. And it's a concern for many organizations that advocate for the civil rights, equality amongst everyone, but specifically to provide necessary services for those who would otherwise be left without. So the low and the very low income families are the ones who will possibly, well, we know there's no possibly, they will be hit the hardest if we allow our state legislators to let this bill go through, inclusive in this bill being the demand charge. So call us 312-738-1060. I'm hoping that was as clear of an explanation as I could give you in reference to this. And if you call your state representative, your state senator, and you mention to them that you need to know more about this demand rate in the utility bill, they will know what you're talking about. And they had a vote the other day, yesterday to be exact, in Springfield. The House went from the Senate, and then the Senate sent it over to the House of Representatives, and the House of Representatives have sent it forward so that there could be more conversation on how that bill could move forward for us to be charged a demand rate on our utility bill. It is not fair. 312-738-1060. We have a caller. Caller, your question or comment. Yes, caller. Not hearing anything. You there, caller? Okay, so I'm glad that there is some interest, but caller, try to call back. We have a few more minutes here to go. There are many areas on the internet. You can just Google, number one, the smart grid. Google the smart grid on your computer and come up with the areas explaining to you what the smart grid is all about, but also how to better understand your utility bill. We also heard from other examples from people who were concerned and not wanting this demand fee. Elderly families, people that are on fixed income, if you have to use plug in medical devices, and these devices are done at a certain time of the day, and let's say you're running these devices and you also have an electrical stove, and then let's also say it's the summertime and you're running your central air unit. This, demand fee will catch you at your highest use of the day and make that your demand half an hour and make that your average bill for the month. This is very concerning for low income and families that are on fixed income and our elders who have to use utility for medical devices and so on and so forth. So, call us. We have another caller. Caller, your question or comment?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm calling because my question is, as someone who's a citizen who's just lives in Chicago and I'm not affiliated with any organization, what can I do to express my disapproval of that fee that you're talking about?
As I stated, you need to look up who your state legislators are, your state representative, as well as your state senator. And you would know from the district that you live in. If you are not familiar, if you just relocated to Chicago, just located in Chicago, unfamiliar, call your alderman's office, and your alderman will know which legislative district you're in. And then you can contact those individuals by that way. Get in touch with them by that means. So look this up. I assure you, this went from a 316-page bill from the Senate from the state of Illinois to a 446-page bill in the House of Representatives from the Senate. And we don't know if it was by design, but some other things were inclusive in this bill, incentives were included in this bill. But the one thing that remained in this new bill was this demand rate. And we think that it is really, it's not justifiable, number one. I don't know who benefits. Of course, we would know or assume that the electric companies are the ones that will benefit, but it will be a harsh reality to the consumers who are on fixed income or low income and cannot adjust or balance their incomes every month when those bills come out. So a demand charge based on a 30-minute window from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So they're going to get you somewhere through the course of your day before you retire for the night. But they will get you. And the half an hour, 30 minutes that you use the electricity the most is where the hardship will kick in. So we encourage everyone, Chicago, the suburban communities, the rural communities, the state of Illinois. You have got to call your legislators, your state legislators, and let them know that something that is so unpredictable as to what hour of the day that they will capture you using your utility the most and then charge you that fee is unwarranted, it's unacceptable, and they should not allow this bill to be passed with this piece of legislation inside of it. So 312-738-1060. Thank you, caller, for that call. Also, the few organizations that I mentioned that are on board with opposing this bill stem from the Attorney General's office, whose job it is, goal and objective, is to look out for the best interests of all consumers. CUB, the Citizens United board, has some information on their website that speaks to them opposing. There's quite a few other advocacy agencies out there that are opposing this bill. And this bill, the information of this demand fee came to the NAACP by way of someone just, reading somewhere and then calling our office and letting us know that this is something that we should research even further, have discussion on as a committee, and then learn about it, learn the facts, and then get the information out to you, the public. And that's what we're doing today. So once again, a lot of the homes in the city of Chicago, not throughout the state just yet, have what's called a smart meter. The smart meter sends your usage of your energy automatically to possibly a big warehouse somewhere, and they're able to read the usage of your utility immediately. When you get your bill, it's an actual bill based on how much energy you've used, and what the demand fee does. It will be allowed to capture the highest half an hour of your day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., the highest usage, 30 minutes of your day, where they can charge you based on what you use at the highest peak of the day of your day. Not in every other given day, it's your day. And then charge you an additional fee called a demand fee for using your energy. And ComEd wants to, Exelon and the other utility companies, within this bill they have educational dollars, funding, training, job opportunities. All of that's fine. Solar energy is going to be really big whenever we get enough households who can buy into or let alone afford solar panels to be able to get rebates from the amount of energy that they produce with their panels. But for those that are less fortunate, this demand rate will have you paying, and this is another reason, will have you paying this fee and funding into the utility company for those that are running their homes, their utilities off of the solar panels. So many of our many families in Chicago, if they're not homeowners, will possibly be placed in or maybe in units that are fully ran by electricity. So case in point, you're in an apartment and you've got a 2-bedroom apartment, 5 rooms, living room, dining room, kitchen, and your kids come home in the evening, and everything from your heat to your electricity is all based on you using ComEd. And ComEd, the minute you get home, all aspects of your life are ran off of you using electricity. And there are many apartments that are out there that are totally equipped by electricity. They have gotten away from gas, and everything you're heating is all electric. So if your peak hour is 6 p.m. for a half an hour and everyone's using everything, there's no real way to try to gauge on how you could do less if you don't know how much you're using or how to balance that out for 3 or 4 hours in the evening before it's time to get prepared for the next day. So that's an area that we, the Chicago Westside branch members, we're working on. We still have some work to do over the course of the holiday and then back into Springfield at the end of the month. But we just want to make sure that we share with you as much information as you, the consumer, the citizen of Chicago, needs to know. We are the Chicago Westside branch. I am Phyllis Logan, your host, and we will see you here 2 weeks from now. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving, and we want to wish everyone a blessed Thanksgiving weekend holiday with your family and friends. And please take care and we look to hear from you in 2 more weeks. Thank you, everyone, and have a safe Thanksgiving holiday.